Obviously.
Clearly.
Joining us right now from The Athletic. The one, the only, the lovely, the talented, Sam Amick. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, guys. Dave, why do you sound like you're underwater all of a sudden?
Do I sound like I'm underwater?
You do.
Wow.
How about me?
Jason sounds better.
That's weird. Yeah, not on our end. I feel like it's probably your connection.
Okay, sure.
Can you hear? Can you at least hear what I'm saying?
It's challenging, not going to lie.
Is it really? All right, then let's do this. Jay, would you call him back, please? I don't want him to have.
That's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
That's weird that he would hear you, but not me.
Yeah. And again, all guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Uh-huh. Oh, it looks like there might be some technical issue that Jay is dealing with. Let's see. Sam, is that better?
That is better. I gotcha.
Jay, he hit something wrong.
Underwater Jay.
Yeah. Hi. All right. You ready?
Take two.
Sam, what a big win for the Kings last night. This is a stacked Cleveland team, and we think a lot of it is culture and Mike Brown and the rest of that coaching staff really doing a job building that culture. What do your eyes tell you?
I mean, yes, I'm laughing because I don't, yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, the culture, I give them credit for, it's a cliche, but for not letting go of the rope early on with some of these frustrations and keeping the morale up, which, as we know in this city, is like these players come in and they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then they feel the weight of all the tough history, and I think they typically and historically let go of the rope a little sooner than they may have otherwise, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the morale is, Malik Monk, after the last loss, I'm blanking on who they lost to before this game.
The Warriors.
Yeah, the Warriors game. Malik, post-game press conference, talking about, we're going to turn a corner. I'm seeing it. Like, I thought his spirit was a good sign. And then he's playing his tail off. I mean, he was not playing well early. All of a sudden, my goodness, not only productive, but I was at the game, and I'm sitting there going, I do not remember him being like slam dunk contest material. Like he is athletic, and they look good. It was a very big win for sure.
Yeah, I was taken back a little bit yesterday, Sam. I don't know if you heard it, but Kevin Herter was on. He's going to be on with us weekly, and I think Dave asked him, like, hey, do you guys sense, with the last 2-minute report, maybe kind of just, is there a feeling amongst you that maybe sometimes you're not getting the right calls? And he said, yeah, you know what, honestly, we do notice it, and we have talked about it, that maybe we do feel like we're not getting the benefit of the whistle. Now, whether or not that's factual or not is not really my point. It's the fact that, to what you said, that they've kind of, whether it's a rallying cry or whatnot, they've stayed together through, honestly, a couple of really tough calls that have gone against them.
Sure, and I was telling people at the game last night, typically I kind of roll my eyes when fan bases, when fan bases focus on the refs and have the victim complex. But that was a real tough stretch for the Kings. And, the Portland game, the Miami game, the Warriors game, it's not, I mean, you got to stop short of the league hates us and
sure,
yada, yada, yada. But they're bad calls. I don't know what's happening with the refs. I don't have the data in terms of, their performance this year compared to previous seasons. But I do know that, like somebody tweeted last night, like, I'm seeing faces I don't recognize. I'm seeing turnover. So that's not great. But they have to play through that. And they did. And now they have to, I think, focus on the fact that, okay, the referee stuff is what it is. But if you look at their last 6 games, they came very close to a 6-game winning streak. Yeah. And, for a team that needs to look at the big picture and obviously wants to find its way into the playoffs, that's a pretty big turn of events considering how they started the season.
Sam Amick with us. To be clear, though, we all agree the refs hate Sacramento, though, right? Like
Sam said it.
Yeah.
Not Sacramento, just Dave, the guy on the radio.
Thank you. Yeah. LeBron is likely going to miss time. I mean, I'm speculating here, but groin injuries generally, you got to be careful with those, and he has a history. And I'm really curious with everything blowing up and perhaps settling down now with Brooklyn. No one wants LeBron to be hurt on the Lakers. I don't want to be stupid here, but is there a bright side to him if he misses time, kind of giving Rob Pelinka a chance to maybe make some of those changes he's been waiting on making?
I don't know about that. I mean, he can make the changes regardless. The smart aleck in me wants to say, yeah, the bright side is, they're headed for they can't get Wembanyama because New Orleans has a pick swap with them this year. But Scoot Henderson would look pretty good next to LeBron and AD. And I mean, kind of joking, but my goodness, they're 2-9. I mean, they have darn near the worst record in the NBA. That obviously sets up for another big opportunity for the Kings tomorrow, where it's a battered team that is going to be desperate but doesn't have LeBron. So I don't know. I wrote something today partly talking about the Lakers and what they might do. And one of the things that you've got to consider is that some of the trades that they looked at hard in the offseason were contingent on them believing that their group was one significant move away from title contention. And in the absence of that, they seem to have more of an inclination to potentially hold on to those first-round picks in 2027, 2029, that, those are literally the last picks of this decade that they can trade or, God forbid, use eventually. But, those assets are really important. And so, I don't know. I don't think they're going to totally stand pat, but I don't necessarily think they're going to go, make this move with Indiana for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. There is chatter that, they're waiting for a star to break free somewhere else. I wrote a little bit about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City, people wondering how patient he'll be out there. Chicago, so people wondering about DeMar DeRozan. So we'll see how the market evolves, and I think they're going to wait because they cannot mess up this next move.
Sam, why is Ime Udoka not the coach of the Nets?
It does appear, I mean, listen, our place, Shams Charania, ESPN, heavy reporting from very reliable people that it was, not even on the, what was it, the Kings Seattle thing? It was on the 2-yard line or whatever. Yeah. It was right there on the goal line. I think the public outcry, the private outcry with this dumpster fire of a situation already in Brooklyn with the Kyrie Irving controversy, with the Kevin Durant trade request. And, I think one thing that, as long as I've covered the league, that is always hard to handicap or really truly understand is the league doesn't run these teams, but there are absolutely situations every so often where the league intervenes. And it feels like this likely was one, where there was a lot of folks in the Nets' ear saying, we really would prefer that you don't have to now explain why one franchise thought his actions were bad enough that they suspended him for the entire season. And you just said, okay, cool, let's pick him up. So I think that had a lot to do with it.
It's interesting, Sam, you bring that up because the Kevin Durant offseason drama aside, the Kyrie Irving stuff going on. But in addition to that, then they invite the Udoka situation into their world where, this just happened 5 minutes ago in Boston, but come on down. There's already questions. You've seen this before. We talked last week and had a great convo about Kyrie, but also Joe Tsai has had some interesting business practices in the past, glass houses, all that. I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm saying, Sam, it seems like the Nets have made themselves a magnet for controversy, and I wonder, does Joe Tsai deserve a decent part of this blame as well, Kyrie aside?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, which specific storyline would you?
He obviously, the business stuff with Alibaba and all that, that's a different topic. But the Udoka thing, he's the guy also who probably, you got to think, and I'm not trying to take Sean Marks out of the equation here, but you hire a first-time guy, try to go Steve Kerr ×2 with Steve Nash. The Udoka thing that they're entertaining at a time when they just got done with Durant and then we're dealing with Kyrie. Somebody's got to be thinking adult in the room, or maybe was an adult in the room, as you alluded to, and said, guys, you're courting controversy.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Although it's funny because ironically, how often have we talked in Sacramento about owners getting in the GM's way?
Yeah.
This is the opposite. I mean, to me, the Udoka thing, Sean Marks has a long history with Udoka from San Antonio. And so that was a Sean Marks hire. Now, I think what you're kind of alluding to or saying is that Joe should have said no to his GM.
Yes.
And I think you're probably correct. And it's also, listen, it's so stupid how, the teams try to control the PR component. Like, oh, they haven't hired him yet because they're vetting more. They've been vetting for weeks. This was happening while Steve Nash was the coach. It was done. And basically, Mr. Silver likely, I don't know this for a fact, but I mean, the sense you get, the chatter around the league is that the league just kind of swooped in and said, no, you're not doing this. And I shouldn't be so flippant with it. I don't know for a fact that it was that direct of an impact, but yeah, it was pretty stunning when we thought this was going to happen. And then I saw a video this morning of Kevin Durant giving the game ball to Jacques Vaughn after their win last night. And I thought basketball-wise, it was a good sign because Kevin, I thought, was likely had a lot to do with the Ime possible hire because they have a good relationship. So, listen, I mean, they've won a few games now. Kevin is playing out of his mind. Had a monster triple-double last night. Jacques Vaughn appears to be doing a good job, and we'll see if they can turn around.
Read The Athletic for all kinds of insight from Sam, from our good friend Matt Barrows, so many others. Not just on the Kings, but the NBA and the sports world in general. All right, my man, I appreciate you. Sorry for being underwater in the first part of this interview, but we'll talk to you next week.
No worries. Just find yourself a scuba sponsorship.
Wow, look at
He
that.
will.
Making money. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that.